Look at all of this stuff. Hello mammals! Welcome to another video. In this video I will be not showing off, but showing you all the camera gear that I use to film nature and wildlife. What specific tools I use and what for. Why did I buy these items? But before I, show all this stuff, there's a few very important things that you need to know about gear and camera equipment. Questions like, is camera equipment important? And if so, how important is it? What difference does it really make to have this stuff? What is worth investing your money in and when? When should you buy? When should you upgrade? Vamonos mammals, let's start right away. I'm just gonna make this very quick. There's always one thing that I remember that I would always tell to you, and that is that your camera equipment should always match your skills, your skill level. So if you are a total complete beginner with professional equipment, you will not know how to properly use it. It wouldn't work. But if you have been filming for years already and you have never upgraded, then your skill level outgrows your gear and then you deserve an upgrade. These two things should always match each other. How good your equipment is and how good you are at using that equipment should always be level. Your equipment should not be here while your skill level is here. So your equipment should match your filmmaking skills. And that's at least how I go about investing and purchasing new things. I don't buy it because I want it. I buy it for one purpose, of course, only. And that is, will it increase the quality of my footage? And will I be able to practically use it? Or am I not ready for it yet? For example, that's one of the reasons I don't have a drone yet. I'm thinking about it, but I'm holding off for now. I have this stuff, it's just, I don't feel ready yet. I can buy it, but, so yeah, okay. With that said, let's start. Okay, I am going to start with this thing right here. Can you see it? Okay, this is my main camera. This is the Canon R7. And this is the camera that I use to really film animals like badgers, foxes, deer and birds, a lot of birds in 4K. So this is my main camera to get really good quality footage of wildlife. And I use this also to film insects combined with the macro lens. More about that later. So yeah, this is also the most expensive stuff, piece of equipment that I have. Nothing on this table, nothing that I have is more expensive than this thing right here. Doesn't matter what the price is. I'm not going to name any prices or the exact brands of everything. It's not about that. If you're a wildlife filmmaker, you have to have one camera, preferably 4K camera. This is also a cropped sensor camera because I use this in combination with a telephoto lens to get as close as possible to animals that you cannot get close to physically, of course, like birds. Very shy animals. Yeah, this is my wildlife camera really. It's 4K, it's high quality. Sometimes I take photos as well with this. It's like, how many megapixels? I don't even remember, like 40 megapixels. It's a really good camera. Awesome. Let's move on. Okay. So yes, the second camera, I have two setups. One for my wildlife stuff, another setup to film the landscape and myself like I'm doing right now, and that's the camera that I'm filming on right now. This right here is the Canon RP, which is my first camera ever. I started out making YouTube videos with this camera, so it doesn't really film. It can film in 4K. Let me show you right there. Okay. Wow. It's a nice camera. It's a very good entry-level camera, but it's not really good at filming in 4K, and that's why I specifically said that I film in 4K with this thing, because this camera is a beast when it comes to 4K. It's made to film in very high quality, and I have to say, this Canon RP, it's not really made to film in 4K, so I keep it in 1080p, which is fine, especially for videos like this one. It doesn't need to be high detail, high quality. This is just fine, right? So, and this camera is a full frame camera, so I have a full frame to film. Usually I use this camera combined with my wide angle lens, just like right now, to film landscape, to film myself, to film this kind of videos where I just speak to the camera, to you. When you want to film wide angle, You need a full frame camera, because if you're gonna film on a cropped sensor camera, you won't really get the full wide angle effect that you want. That's my second and my first setup, first camera that I bought, and this is like my main setup for wildlife far away. And I use that camera, the Canon RP, for filming this kind of videos and just filming myself in general. Next up is this lens that I'm filming on right now, a wide angle lens. This is a 17 to 40 millimeter lens, I believe. Yeah, obviously, what do you use a wide angle lens for? Landscape, filming myself, filming the scenery, or filming trees. Anything that goes well with wide angle lens. Wide angle lens speaks for itself. The next thing is here, this little thing, can you see? This is a 50 millimeter lens. This Canon 50mm lens is actually called Nifty 50 because it is a very nifty lens. It's small. The great thing about this lens is it only cost me like 130 euros, which is not that much. One of the cheapest things that I have right here, I guess this one. This is the cheapest, but yeah, this is the cheapest lens that I have, but it's also one of the sharpest because it is a prime lens. If you don't know what a prime lens is, this is a zoom lens. It can zoom in and out. This is a fixed focal length, which does make it more sharp. And I use this a lot for photos, for portrait stuff of myself, of my animals, of landscape stuff. A few months ago it was really beautiful snow everywhere. I used this lens a lot then to get some really nice photos of the snow, the landscapes, some more snow. I even took some cool photos for myself and my dog in the backyard. This lens is really nice. It's sharp for filmmaking. It is a very cinematic lens because you can go down to f1.8, which means that it has a very shallow depth of field, a very low f-stop, a low aperture, which means that you can get that bokeh effect or bokeh. So it means that the entire background and foreground is blurry and only the thing in the middle, that is in focus. So it just looks very professional cinematic. It's a really good lens. Okay, let's move on. This one here. This is, I think, the sharpest lens that I have. This is a macro lens from Laowa. It's a 100mm lens. I chose a 100mm macro lens on purpose because if you have a shorter focal length, you need to get closer, and I use this obviously for insects. But the thing is that if you get too close to insects, your shadow, as you can see here, of this lens, your shadow will cover that insect, and that is one of the things that triggers them to jump or fly away. You have to make sure that your shadow will not come over them. So with a 100mm lens you can stay away a little bit, so you don't scare off the bees or butterflies or whatever. And this lens is just really freaking sharp, especially because I combined it with the Canon R7 in 4K, of course. It has also, of course, an f-stop of f2.8, which I rarely use because then everything will be overexposed. It is already a macro lens. You already have a very shallow depth of field, a very small focus area, you know. So yeah, I mean, if you're a serious wildlife / nature filmmaker, I would seriously suggest that at some point you start to look into a macro lens. I mean you cannot avoid the macro world. There's a whole new dimension opens when you buy a macro lens. One tip though, if you're going to buy a macro lens, make sure that you buy a macro lens that is actually macro. Do research on that, because there are some lenses that sell you the idea of being a macro lens, but in truth they are not really an actual macro lens. So 2 to 1, I think that's what it means. Make sure that if you're buying a macro lens, that it is actually a macro lens and that you're not getting tricked, because some other lenses are just called macro but they are not really macro. So yes, obviously long focal length, so you don't need to get too close, because then you'll scare away the insects with your own shadow. Oh yeah, another thing that I use this lens for is a close-up of eyes. My eyes, my family's eyes, my dog's eyes, my cat's eyes, a lot of eyes. And there's no better way than to photograph the close-up details of an eye than with a macro lens. And this thing has served me very well in doing that. I have some really epic photos of eyes. So man, let's move on to one of the most important pieces of equipment. That's this thing, right there. Whoa! This is also probably the heaviest, or at least one of the heaviest. Obviously this is the telephoto lens, which I combine with the Canon R7. This is the Sigma 150-600. Really good lens. This is pretty much like a jack of all trades. It's not the sharpest lens. It's not the most expensive lens. It's not the cheapest lens. It hasn't got the furthest focal length, but also not the shortest. This lens is like perfect for beginners. If you are into bird photography or wildlife photography, best bang for your buck, because well, it was like €1,000 or 990 something. So yes, obviously it is expensive, but it is worth it for what you get. 600mm, especially combined with a crop sensor, which turns it into 960mm, which is very zoomed in. It has, as you can see here, some options. Built-in stabilization, which works pretty well. It is not too heavy. Obviously I chose this lens because it's not ridiculously expensive. Like there are certain lenses that are thousands, like 10,000 euros or dollars, which is way too much. Of course, you never really need to invest that much money. You never really need to go that far. Even if you are a professional, you're probably not buying it yourself, unless you're stupid rich. But yeah, okay. There's also downsides about such lenses that cost you like 10 grand. They are really heavy, really bulky, clunky. They're not always the most practical. So yeah, this one is very practical. Look how compact it is. It's lightweight, compact. If you can afford it, it is worth the price. And of course, one of the most important reasons I bought this lens is zoom. It has a zoom function. You can go from 150 all the way to 600. You have a lot of versatility in shots, which is very important. And if you buy a prime lens, which means that you cannot zoom in or out, yes, it will be probably a bit sharper, but to be honest, this lens is already sharp enough. I'm willing to compromise on a little bit of sharpness to get a lot of zooming in and out in return for that. The autofocus is relatively good as well. It also depends on what camera you use it with. That's another thing about that you need to know about lenses. The lens on its own doesn't tell you everything. What camera you combine it with, that can change how you will be able to use that lens. So man, that's why I use it with this camera, because it's I can get even more focal length out of it with a cropped sensor. And of course 4K. By the way, I have to say this was not my first telephoto lens. I didn't immediately straight up jump into €1,000 lens. First I used my sister's lens. She was into photography as well a few years ago. She had a, what lens was it? A 75-300mm lens, which is a very nice beginner lens. This is like, to be honest, this is already slightly more advanced than beginner. If you're a complete beginner, I wouldn't advise that you immediately start off with a lens like this. You can, if you can afford it, sure, but you don't have to do that. The lens that I used, 75-300, also from Canon. First of all, I didn't need to purchase that lens. I could just lend it, borrow it sometimes, which I did. Yeah, that was how I got into bird photography. So yes, moving on to, oh yeah, this is one of the most recent pieces of equipment that I bought. I'm also very hyped about this, and that's this thing. Okay, so what the hell is this even? Can you even see it? So this is a infrared night vision scope. This right here is the scope, and this on top is an infrared torch. Very, very bright. And this thing I use to finally be able to film the tawny owls in my backyard. As you can see, where is it? Somewhere in the background is a nest box. No, it's to my right. That's to my right, right there. Somewhere here, there's a tawny owl nest box. They have nested in there like 10 years ago, but 3 times in total. But I've never been able to film them. So I started to do some research, and I still wanted to film the tiny owls. I knew that there is some equipment out there to film in the night. Then I stumbled onto night vision equipment, night cameras and warmth cameras. But a warmth camera that detects heat is different than this, because this films with actual light, infrared light, so you can get a lot more detail. I'm showing some footage right now that I've already filmed, and you can clearly see the patterns on the feather of the tiny owl. You can see their eyes, the beak, the head. You can see so much more than just heat. Because if you film with a heat camera, you can see yellow and white and orange, which is warm. And you can see the blues, which is cold. But you can't really see much detail. So I chose this kind of setup. So as you can see, this is where you look into the eyepiece. So I put this on a tripod like this, and this is why I look through. Here's the record button. Here's some other options. And this is the torch, of course. To shine into the face of the tiny owl. And the great thing is, why I don't use an actual flashlight or torch, is because that scares away animals, of course. The awesome thing about this is this infrared light. It is turned on right now. I don't think you can see it, and that's the whole point of this torch. The tiny owl can't see this light. No one can see the light that is coming from this torch, although it is very, very bright. I can't see it, the tiny owl cannot see it, so the tiny owl is not disturbed by it. It's actually a hunter's piece of equipment. They use this to put on a rifle as a scope to shoot animals in the night. Obviously, I'm a much more animal friendly guy, so I use it to film animals in the night. I don't put it on a rifle, of course. I put it, as you can see here, with this clamp. I put it on a tripod and I film the tiny owls in my backyard. And so I will be using this many times in the future. I will also try to film maybe bats with this, or hedgehogs, whatever animals that are active at night. I will use this thing. And of course here, this is the actual lens. It looks also pretty badass, this setup, you know. It looks pretty cool. So, yeah man, this is one of the coolest, greatest piece of equipment that I bought. It's really great. Because for a long time I did not know what to do with the tiny owls in the backyard, besides trying to record the sound. Also, speaking of sound, this thing also records audio pretty well. Like, surprisingly good audio comes from this. The quality is really good. It's not 4K, it's 1080p, but for in the night, it really surprised me at how well this thing performs. The footage that I got already from this, really great. Awesome, I love it. So, yeah man, let's move on. The next piece of equipment I have is one of the oldest things that I bought when I was like 16. And it says right there. It's a GoPro, of course. This is the GoPro Hero 7 Black, which is a very, pretty old model. I think the GoPro Hero 13 or something is already out, but doesn't matter, it still works. The greatest thing that I use this for is to film. Actually, last year I filmed the tadpoles in the pond underwater, and I got some really beautiful, awesome shots that I had never filmed before with this GoPro. I could have not gotten this footage without this GoPro. So, even though this is a very relatively simple piece of equipment and quite a few years old already, it still comes in extremely handy. I love it. I will never not have a GoPro in my, you know, camera gear setup. There will always be a GoPro. I was thinking about upgrading, but nah, not yet. Maybe, I don't know, next year I'll buy a new one, but for now this one's still great. Yeah man. And I can also sometimes use it for POV when I'm going into nature and I film. I put it here and so you can see what I am seeing when I am in nature, when I'm filming. It's a nice angle. Or I can use it as a third or a second or third angle. It always comes in handy, a nice GoPro. All kinds of things and angles and shots that you can get with a GoPro that you cannot use the other equipment for. Because this is of course very tough and durable. So man, GoPro, always great. Oh yeah, the microphone that is on this thing right now. The audio that you're hearing right now is coming from my new microphone because I really wanted some really good quality, detailed audio, especially for my voice when I'm making videos like this, or when I'm just out there in nature with a different video and I'm just speaking to the camera, or to record, of course, bird sounds, to record all kinds of ambience, that's what I was looking for, like nature ambience sounds, like the water, the wind, the leaves, the birds. This microphone right here, Rode, I don't know exactly what model it is, but it doesn't really matter. Only tricky thing is about this kind of microphone is you need to turn it on and you need to charge it because there's a battery inside it, because it's just bigger, better quality, so it requires a battery. But yeah, you get used to that, because the thing is, and that's the second, the next thing, this little microphone right here, I think everyone knows this one. Everyone that is into filmmaking a little bit knows this little microphone. It's of course also from Rode Video Micro, I believe it's called. This is like, I would say, one of the best microphones if you're really a beginner. If you're a complete beginner, at least I started out with this microphone. If you want to upgrade your audio from just a phone or a camera, you want to get better audio, which you should, I mean, there is a microphone in the camera itself, but that's not really gonna cut it. If you really want good audio, and yes, audio is, if you really want to get good at making good videos, audio is equally as important as video. So, good microphone, very important. So I started out with this thing right here, and then now I'm moving on to that one, which is the next piece of equipment is not here, it's still inside. I'm gonna get it right now. The most recent piece of equipment that I bought was this thing. Okay, yeah, look here. You might think, what the hell is this? It's just one big screen. No, it is not. What really matters is this thing here, underneath. This is a microscope. Yes! Of course, it's a beginner microscope. It's not like extreme. It only cost me 200 euros. 200! And the stuff that you can see with this is insane. I told you with a macro lens, a whole new dimension opens. The same is true for a microscope. You go from macro to micro. The stuff that you're able to see with this, the amount of details, you can never see that with the naked eye. It's insane. So these are two lamps that are attached to it. This is a big screen, and here, this thing is the microscope itself. And here is the, well, actually, hold on. Of course, big screen. I still have the protection stuff on. Some options here to take a photo, to take video. Here's the focus ring. Like this. This is the microscope itself. Yeah, I don't know what you're seeing right now, but yeah, whatever. This is the microscope. And of course, the lights. And then here, this plate, you can put your subject on. I already actually found a hornet, big Asian hornet, which are real fuckers, and they are real like invasive species and a real pest here. And I actually got the needle of one close up into the details. So this thing here already proved its worth, and I'm gonna be using this microscope for so many times in so many future videos. Yeah man, I wouldn't say that this is absolutely necessary, but one of the things that I really want to be doing is versatility. I want to film the landscapes, I want to film the trees, the skies, the insects, the birds, the mammals, the tiny little details. I want to film everything and anything everywhere. I want to film every aspect of nature. You know, big, small, extremely small, everything. And this is another one of those aspects, another dimension. So yeah man, microscope, and again, just like this thing, it really surprised me at how well it works. And I also filmed a tiny spider. I mean, this spider was less than half a centimeter. It's like extremely small, and you can get it so close in this screen. Really epic stuff here. I'll put it right here. Okay, next is one of the most unforgettable, obvious pieces of equipment that you need if you're a nature lover, or you're a wildlife filmmaker, or if you're a birder. Right here, of course, are good binoculars. So I got the Vortex, let me see here, 12x50. Really great one. When I started out, I used a very old grey, kind of worn out binoculars. It did its job, it was alright. But then I got this upgrade and it's seriously great. I mean, come on man. It even has, I'll show you, these little dents in here to place your thumbs. It is really great. It's just great quality. A really good set of binoculars. I can see far with this. I can see sharp, clearly. And it's not too heavy, not too bulky. It's just perfect thing for me. It looks good. What more can I say? Awesome binoculars. Obviously, why should you even buy binoculars? Well, if you are a birder, I don't even need to explain it. But what I really use it for is to get an advantage on the animals that I'm trying to film. For spotting stuff ahead. This is really to see animals before they see me. Because if I see them, if I see a deer, a roe deer for example, and he hasn't seen me yet, I can go low, I can find my way through the forest or through the bushes to get close enough to him unseen. So this will eventually allow me to maximize my chances of seeing what is in the area and to get as close as possible to get great footage. So a good set of binoculars, it can really make a big difference in the kind of footage and opportunities and wildlife sightings that you will get. And obviously you can just clearly see stuff that you can never see with the naked eye. I mean, if I look at the treetops right there, I can't really see. But if I set this on it, I can see the smallest bird sitting there. So obviously binoculars makes sense. Really invest in it, I would say. Get a good one and be careful with it. Don't drop it. Don't be stupid. Always take care of your equipment. Then, next up is a very fun little piece of equipment. Not absolutely necessary, but I would still advise if you're into wildlife filmmaking. It is really fun and relatively cheap. Depends on what thing you buy, but here, a little trail camera or camera trap. This is your eyes and ears in the field when you are not there. This allows you to capture animals with their 100% natural behavior and without disturbance of human activity, of course. When no one is there, even especially at night, you can see what animals are getting up to at night, or when you leave, when there's no one there and the animals come, they are undisturbed by this thing. The trick is to place it well. Don't place it straight up, always place it slightly higher. And one of the trickiest things is to not let this thing get triggered by blowing leaves in the wind, because then you'll get a million false triggers without any other footage. So that's why you have to place it slightly higher and a little bit tilted forward, because otherwise any leaf in the distance that blows will trigger it. So you have to figure that out. It's a bit tricky to get good with where to place it, how to place it, and how to get good footage. But you have to, that's a lot of practice with this thing. When you have that figured out, it can get you some really great footage. Some stuff that you cannot get otherwise. It can really be your eyes into the secret, hidden world of shy animals. I'm thinking about placing that little camera near a badger den to see, first of all, if the den is active, or even if there are maybe already cubs, small badgers. Or if I find a fox den or something, I can see if there is anything without needing to hang around for hours. A trail camera gets you information without needing to disturb the animals. It does the work for you. So that is really great. A very useful tool. Okay, now we're getting to some big stuff. That is this thing right here. Look. This right here. Wow. This is a motorized camera slider. Why do I have a motorized... Oh, let me actually start by saying, what is a motorized camera slider? Well, the word says it. The motor of this thing is right here. This thing right here, this block here. That's the motor. It can slide like this. And like this. But then a bit more smoothly. So it goes from left to right. You use this with an app. You can connect it with an app, and then you can control this slider, the movements, with that app on your phone. You can just make it slide to the left or to the right. You can adjust the speed. Why am I using this? Well, I got inspired by this because of nature documentaries, of course. You see a lot of movements in shots, in these really beautiful, amazing, like Planet Earth and Our Planet documentaries. You see a lot of movement, a lot of cool sliding shots. And some of them are made with a motorized camera slider. What this does, it can introduce a whole bunch of interesting, cool, professional looking shots into your videos. If you only have static shots, so on a tripod, focusing on something, and the camera doesn't move at all, it can become too repetitive. Too much of the same kind of shots, the same footage. It becomes too robotic, too boring. If you introduce a lot of movements into your shots, so panning and tilting, so this is panning of course with a tripod, tilting up and down, focus pulling, focus zooming, and a slider. You can go to right, to the left, you can go forward, backwards, you can even do a parallax shot, which is, for example, from left to right, like this, while also panning like this. So you pan, for example, from right to the left, but you also slide from left to right. So you get this kind of shot. So where's the camera? Here. You can go like this, and then like this. Put it on here. You can go from left to right and stuff. You can go like this, backwards and forwards. But you can also do it at the same time. So you start here, in that direction, and you end, boom, like this, in that direction. So it gives a really cool shot. You kind of pan and slide around a certain subject, which looks, if you manage to pull it off, it looks really cool. And you see it a lot in, you see it a lot in these very high quality professional nature documentaries. That's actually what inspired me to kind of want that as well. I was thinking, how difficult can it be? And yes, sometimes it is being done from a car with a whole huge Cineflex gimbal setup that is worth $1 million. But okay, this is the same kind of principle, especially to film flowers and landscapes and stuff that is not moving too much. This can be very, very epic and amazing. It looks so cinematic and beautiful and awesome. It looks so much more interesting than, for example, what I'm doing right now. This is a static shot. It stands still and nothing moves. You can do that. You should definitely use those shots every now and then, but you should also kind of supplement your videos with movement. It doesn't have to be a slider per se, but at least forwards or backwards, or panning or tilting, any kind of movements. So obviously smooth movements into your shots. You can also buy a gimbal. That is a whole discussion whether you should buy a gimbal or this thing. I buy this because when you hold a gimbal, you're still manually doing the work. Your body, your arms are still moving. Yes, it can be very smooth, but it will never be as smooth as a motor because it's programmed. It is programmed, and this is also on a tripod. As you can see here, I attached the tripod to this thing, and here's the motor with the battery. It is just the most smooth stable footage that you can possibly get with movement. Also, it is easier to set up than a gimbal. A gimbal needs to calibrate. A gimbal needs to be perfectly balanced. I'm not into that stuff. This is just more practical, at least on that aspect. On the other aspect, it is a heavy thing. It is long. You can't pack it up, so it takes a lot of space up in your bag. So it is something to consider. I have actually not used this thing in a while for that very reason. And usually when I go into nature, I will not take this with me. I don't know how I'm going to be doing it in the future. Maybe I will start to take this into nature in the morning more often, but for now I haven't done it as much because my backpack is already filled with all this stuff, the lenses, the tripod, the cameras. And if I also add this whole thing, it can become a lot, and it can become very heavy and almost too unpractical. So I still want to use it, but only when it makes sense. I don't want to be using this every day for everything. So if you want to go for a camera slider, it's all about the perspective. How do you look at it? In my opinion, yes, yes, yes. If you're very serious in getting the best footage that you can possibly get in nature, I mean, it is worth it. And you are willing to carry this relatively long, relatively heavy setup with you, then it is worth it, I would say. But if you want to keep it as easy, as minimalistic, as compact as possible, then this thing goes against that. Because it is not minimalistic, it is not that practical. As I said, it is long. But then on the other hand, again, as I said, it's all about perspective. It's not that heavy. A tripod is also long, about the same length as this. So if you're willing to put up with it, to work with it, a camera slider can make a very big difference in the movements in your shot, in your footage. It can really introduce a new level of professional, high quality looking footage. So yeah, enough about this slider. Let's move on. Okay, so the next thing is an iPhone. What iPhone is this? Oh yeah, 15 Plus. The camera is good enough. So obviously I use my iPhone every now and then to get some extra shots here and there. I use it to film myself, like obviously like that, to talk directly to you, just for a quick video that I can put in another video, you know, for a quick bit of footage, a quick bit of information in between scenes, in between shots. If I want to just say something, I can just do it with my phone quickly. No need to set up the whole camera. Of course, when I go for a walk in nature, sometimes I take my phone with me just in case I see or hear something that I can still record it or record the audio. Don't underestimate the convenience and the power of a phone, because it's practical, it's quick, it's actually really good quality. So let's move on. This thing right here, external monitor, of course. I use this for my wildlife setup to see exactly where I am focused, what I'm filming, how I'm filming it, where I am focused and how I'm focused. Because on a small little screen, it is just not enough. It's not big enough. Look at the difference. This is much better. You can see much clearly what you are filming and how you are filming it. I mean, yes, it is another piece of equipment that you need to buy and that you need to carry with you. But to be honest, the truth, in my opinion, is, at least in my experience, it's not that impractical. If you buy the right one, you need to put it on your camera, which also means that if you want to use a microphone, you have to put the microphone on the side of the camera, which is why I have put this thing on my camera. Right here I put the microphone and right here I put the screen. So you have to figure that out. It's a little bit of a hassle, but I would say an external monitor is worth it if you do filmmaking. If you're a photographer, no, that is not worth it. Because you use autofocus, you let the camera do the focusing for you, And if you are a filmmaker, you should really learn to use manual focus. You should not be dependent on autofocus too much. You should be in control of what you focus, when you focus, and how you focus. You determine that. And it's not that difficult to learn. And this will help you with that. Because obviously there's a feature on this, very important handy feature, which is of course the blue lines, which obviously shows you where the blue lines are is exactly where you are focused. It's just so much easier to see what you're actually filming. Okay, this one is a bit boring, so I'll go through it a bit more fast. That is this thing right there. Wow, yeah. Of course, every filmmaker needs a good, steady tripod. This is a carbon fiber tripod from Benro. It's a very nice one. Sturdy, strong, flexible. What I mean with that is the legs can go all the way up like this. And of course inwards. And it can go up. Obviously every tripod should do that. One of the most important things about this one is there's only 3 tripod legs and not another one. There's no center column. This thing is not the center column. Hold on. So what I mean by that is, come on man, fucking move. Sorry, I get a bit frustrated. These are 3 tripod legs. It's not a tripod for nothing. Obviously, tri is 3. This one can go flat on the ground. If you sometimes for wildlife filmmakers, it is important to get to ground level. Especially if you want to, for example, film birds that are feeding on the ground. You don't want to be filming upwards and then down. I mean from up, from higher, like this. Like this. You don't want to be filming like this. No. You want to be filming like this. Straight into the eye of the bird. Or the animal that is on the ground. For example, if there is a squirrel or something, or a hedgehog, whatever it might be, that is on the ground, you want to get on eye level as much as possible. Sometimes it's not entirely possible to get literally on the ground, but get as low as possible if the animal is on the ground. And that's why I have a tripod that can do this. It's still not really on the ground, but as you can see, it's only this high. It's like 20 centimeters or something, but that's also because this video head, which I will talk about in a second, is very big and bulky. Yeah, but so get yourself a tripod. That was a weird accent. Get yourself a tripod. If you are a wildlife filmmaker and you want to get on the eye level of animals, of course. If you want to be doing that, get yourself a tripod that doesn't have another center column right here, because then it cannot go flat on the ground. So get yourself something like this. But do make sure that your tripod is strong, maybe carbon fiber, because it means that it is very strong, sturdy, it stands on the ground comfortably, and it is light. This thing, as you can see here, is very light setup. That is the tripod that I'm filming on right now, has a center column. Leg 1, 2 and 3, but it also has a center column right here. Which means that it cannot go flat on the ground, which is something that you do want if you want to get the best wildlife footage. You want to get low, not just for getting those eye level shots, but also for staying low. You don't want to be announcing yourself. You don't want to be walking around like this in the forest. Every animal is going to see you, and you will have a smaller chance of getting close to animals. So you want to wear green or brownish colors. You want to blend in. You want to make yourself small, pretty much as small as possible. You want to small down your silhouette, your statue. You don't want to be too present. You don't want every animal to be able to see you. You need to make the chance that an animal spots you as small as possible. Make sure that you can even lie completely flat on the ground like this. If you can film an animal like this, especially if it's a mouse, how else are you going to be filming a mouse? You need to get as low as possible sometimes. And that is why you need a tripod that has no center column. Right. Oh. What back? Okay. The next thing is also on a tripod. But what is on top of a tripod? With only a tripod and a camera you cannot film. You can't put a camera straight on top of a tripod. There's a piece of equipment in between, and that is of course a video head, which is also very important. I would say maybe even equally as important as the tripod itself. This is a Manfrotto. It sounds German. Das ist ein Manfrotto video head. So this is a very well known. A lot of filmmakers have the exact same one. This one is the best, or at least one of the best that I can find. It is big, it is bulky, it is heavy, it is very smooth and strong. It will not disappoint you, and it can last you years. It can also last in very nasty weather conditions. And there's a very well-known wildlife photographer slash filmmaker, Morten Hilmer. I actually got the inspiration from him. I saw this thing and then I wanted it as well, because I knew that's a very, very great video head. And then I did the research and I found the exact same one, and now I have it and it is great. It is awesome because it is just, yeah man, the panning and tilting on this thing. Wait, let me show you. This thing, the focus ring. Oh yeah, so let me see. Where am I even fucking focused? So here, this here, right here, whoa, and back is very smooth. You can make it as quick or as slow with this red focus ring. I've put a little thing on it, like camouflage. I'll show you better. I've put this little bit of camouflage on here, just to, because this is red, shiny metallic. And if the sun catches it, or if it catches the sun, however you want to say it, it can be extremely bright, and it can literally make the difference between an animal spotting you or not. So this blocks the sun, and it completes the 3D camouflage effect. You understand? Because this is just too bright. It's shiny, it's red, it doesn't make any sense. So this is just perfect that I put this thing on it, and that's problem solved. Panning is smooth. You can adjust it exactly how you want it. It is great. You can get the smoothest wildlife footage with this video head. It is a little bit expensive, but in my opinion, if you're serious about it, then you should also be serious about serious gear. Unless you literally just started, then I wouldn't recommend it, because that just doesn't make sense. But if you want to upgrade to get smoother, more stable footage, this thing is great. It is awesome. You can unlock it here, and then you can make this here as quickly or as smoothly as you possibly want. And also, as you can see, if you leave your camera with your big heavy lens here, you leave it like this, it will return, look, on its own, naturally. And that is there's a certain, technology in here that allows it to be extremely smooth and return, look here, it returns to the middle, to stable, on its own. So this thing is just great. Great video head. It completes a great wildlife filmmaking setup. Woo! I think we are almost done. This video is really long. I'm sorry. Spotting scope is the next one. So this is not really for filmmaking, but look at this. Whoa! This is also from the same company, Vortex. I have a Vortex binoculars and a Vortex spotting scope. What's the difference? Well, this is just for spotting stuff, although this is called a spotting scope. This is pretty much, this is a binoculars, but then bigger and better. This is especially what birders use. If you are really a birder or a bird fanatic and you really enjoy watching birds as closely as possible, studying them, observing them for hours, get yourself a spotting scope, because this thing is made for birding. Put it on a nice tripod with a nice video head, just like that, so you can smoothly pan and tilt. With a binoculars, you're holding it. It is never completely steady. First of all, this thing zooms in much more than this. It is sharper, better quality image than this. Your arm will get tired after a minute of holding this. This is steady. You put it on a tripod. As you can see here, with this plate, and you can just you can put it exactly on a bird if that bird is sitting still. Leave it, you don't even have to touch it. Put your eye onto it and just observe. And that is the genius thing about a spotting scope. It is effortless, the best way to observe birds. You can get them very close, very sharp, detailed, without needing to hold binoculars. So a spotting scope is awesome. I haven't used it that much, but I will definitely use it in the future. This is all camera equipment, but this is just for your own entertainment, for your own observations. You can film with your iPhone lens through here, but to be honest, I'm just gonna use this to enjoy looking at birds and observing them without the need to film all the time. Just to have fun in nature. Just you and your own eye. If you want to get away from filming all the time or photographing all the time, go out there with binoculars and a spotting scope and just enjoy and forget about making content sometimes. So that's great. We're done. Done. That was it. Alright man. So mammals, I know this was an extremely long video. This video was 5 times longer than I wanted it to be, but okay. So that is all the equipment I use and why I use it, why I have bought it. Remember, the thing that matters the most is the person behind the camera. You. Or in this case, in front of the camera. The thing that matters the most is your own skill, your own creativity, your own practice, that you get better at using this equipment. These things are just tools. It's not your skill. The skill is what really matters. Respect the skills. Bam! Yes, it makes a big difference, this kind of stuff. Without this, I could never film the tiny owls. You know? Without the GoPro, I could never film the tadpoles in the pond. So yes, of course, it matters. But what matters even more is you, your own skill level. What are you filming? Why are you filming it? With what purpose? What are you showing people? What are you talking about in these videos that you're making? Or the photos that you're making? Are you speaking about the animals? Are you giving them knowledge? Are you educating people? What are the interesting facts that you are speaking about? That is far more important than what gear you exactly use and how and what lens you use. It's a detail still. These are all details. What really matters is here. You have to really ask yourself, why do I make photos? Or why do I film nature? With what purpose? What do I want to show people? What is the purpose of the videos? Sometimes, of course, if it's just your hobby, then you just do it for fun, okay? But if you're a bit more serious about it, you really want it to be your career, to be your job, and you want to kind of achieve more with it, you have to ask yourself these questions. What do I really want with it? What am I really doing? What am I creating here and why? So, if you know the answers to those questions, you're on the right track. Okay mammals, it is going for way too long. I need to end this fucking video. If you have any more questions or something to discuss with me, go to the comments, I will be there. And let's make the planet green again, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. Oh, my voice is dead. Stay wild.